At school, you probably spent loads of time learning things which you very rarely use. In your daily life, you probably don't have to solve quadratic equations, dissect frogs, or heat up chemicals with Bunsen burners. Frequently, however, you will have to deal with difficult thoughts, uncomfortable emotions, and times of high stress. So why is it no one taught you how to deal with all that stuff? My name is Sive Joyce. I work as a psychologist and a researcher. I'm also the co-creator of Raw Mind Coach. This new e-learning program is designed to equip you with some very practical skills, boost your psychological resilience, and help you bounce back from whatever life brings. Today, I will be providing a few helpful insights about how your brain works and letting you know a little more about Raw Mind Coach. Just like looking after your physical health, looking after your mental health is something we should all be doing. Across Australia, around 1 in 6 people in the workforce are currently experiencing a mental health condition. Around half of people will experience a mental health condition at some point in their life. Of course, each and every one of us will have to cope with the many stresses that come with living and working in a very demanding, fast-paced world. Unfortunately, much of the advice we receive along life's journey is pretty terrible. Most of us are brought up to believe that we should be tough, in control of our thoughts at all times and unaffected by our emotions. But the fact is, we're not robots void of human emotion, and these beliefs can set us up for a lot of suffering. During Raw Mind Coach, you will learn a different approach, one which takes into consideration how your mind actually works. A key skill we teach during this process is mindfulness. While you may have heard a lot about mindfulness recently, there are many common misconceptions. Mindfulness is not just the latest fad. It's a practice which has been around for over 5,000 years and can actually be traced back to yogic and Buddhist philosophy within India, Sri Lanka, and Tibet. It is, however, only recently that researchers have begun to document the many powerful benefits it can bring. Regular mindfulness practice can help you manage stress more effectively. It can also reduce the likelihood of emotional and physical burnout and has been found to reduce symptoms associated with common mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. Research studies have also found that practicing mindfulness can bolster your physical well-being. Interestingly, a number of studies have demonstrated that practicing mindfulness leads to a reduction in the level of the stress hormone cortisol in the body. From a cognitive perspective, mindfulness has been found to enhance grey matter pathways in the brain. And this is particularly interesting because these pathways are associated with learning, memory, and attention. You know, the reality is, though, you don't have to be a Buddhist monk or a yogi to practice mindfulness, even though it has this very old, ancient background. You don't have to empty your head of all thoughts or sit cross-legged and silently meditate for hours on end. It is a skill which anyone can learn, and that's probably the most powerful finding out of all the research, the academic research on mindfulness, is that you can adopt mindfulness into a very accessible tool that you can use anytime, anywhere. So what is it exactly? Mindfulness simply means bringing attention to the present moment with openness, flexibility, and self-compassion. The practice itself involves you returning your focus to your experience in the here and now. When you learn mindfulness, you may have to unlearn a few old habits. When something is bothering us, it's very common to say, just stop thinking about it, or just put that thought aside. We develop this notion that we can control all our thoughts, push them away, stop them from coming, or ignore them completely. But these strategies don't work in the long term. Your mind generates tens of thousands of thoughts a day. It's been proven in the research. So if you try and stop them or try to control them, you are in for a rather exhausting battle. So instead of asking you to control your thoughts, mindfulness teaches you simply to interact with your thoughts in a different way. You observe them. You don't have to fight them or play a tiring tug of war with them. You get to decide which thoughts are useful, and you get to let go of the many thoughts which aren't. So in this way, you are cultivating the ability to choose which thoughts to pay attention to and invest your precious energy and time. This choice is a powerful tool, as it can assist us in becoming less reactive to our thoughts. So our behavior over time with the practice of mindfulness becomes far less reactive. Throughout Raw Mind Coach, we provide a wide range of guided mindfulness exercises, which you can download and practice whenever you want. Most take just a few minutes. Some of them are quite simple. They focus on bringing your attention to your breath or the sensations in your body. Some guided mindfulness exercises are designed for deep relaxation and can help you get to sleep more efficiently. Others are designed to help you interact with your thoughts and emotions in very different ways to what you might be used to. To begin with, many people find practicing mindfulness a little awkward. This is completely normal and natural. When you sit still and start to explore your thoughts, you may well notice one which says, "This is stupid, this sucks," or "Why am I doing this?" And that's completely okay. And as I said, it's actually quite normal. Like most skills, mindfulness can take a while to get comfortable with. After sampling several different mindfulness exercises, it's likely you will discover a few favorites, and the initial awkwardness should give way to a range of really impressive benefits. Many people find mindfulness helps them to slow down, calm down, and bring life back to a manageable pace. As a society, we've become used to packing in as much as possible. We are hyper-stimulated, overextended, constantly connected, and armed to the teeth with fancy electronic playthings. Our shiny smartphones have taken away many of those small mindful moments, filling the gaps with a steady stream of social media, news feeds, work emails, and other distractions. Despite all this electronic connectivity, many of us simply feel disconnected and horribly worn out. Struggling to keep up, we rush, we multitask to an inch of our life, and we worry. Practicing mindfulness can help you slow right down and concentrate on what's really important, what truly matters to you in life. In fact, many people find mindfulness helps them to waste far less energy worrying about the past or the future. They're refocusing in the here and now. And this is particularly important because life is what's happening right now. Yet instead of being in the present, we devote huge amounts of our energy to rehashing stuff from the past or trying to get everything just right for the future. We believe we will finally be happy only when we have the right house, the right qualification, the right partner, the right dress size, the right bank balance, etc., etc., etc. The list just goes on. Not having it all makes us feel extremely dissatisfied. Practice mindfulness and you may find you spend far less energy getting worked up over pointless worries from the past or future. Instead, you will get to savor what's happening right now. One of the great benefits of mindfulness is that it teaches you to really experience the good stuff. When you are totally present and paying attention, you are not thinking about all the things you are supposedly lacking. When you are mindfully eating a ripe, juicy mango, you are not thinking about your wrinkles, your gas bill, or the fact your car needs a clean. You are just really enjoying the mango. You get to wholeheartedly engage in these simple moments of joy. When you are being mindful, you will take the time to smell the roses, so to speak, to listen to the birds or to watch the sunset. All the small joys in life will not go unnoticed. Importantly, Mindfulness also teaches you to be nicer to yourself, and this is perhaps one of the most important lessons that comes out of a regular mindfulness practice. Most of us are incredibly hard on ourselves. We constantly tell ourselves we're not smart, thin, fit, accomplished, or good enough in countless other ways. A key part of learning mindfulness is to learn how to act with far greater self-compassion. When you let compassion take over from judgment, the voice of that harsh inner critic gradually becomes less urgent and less significant. You can become less focused on all these unhelpful self-criticisms and more at ease with yourself. This is a very important skill which can build psychological resilience over time. And self-compassion truly disarms unhelpful criticism. This is a particularly important point because the research consistently shows that those who are very low on self-compassion tend to be very high on self-criticism, and this places them at higher risk of emotional burnout and common mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. Of course, it's important to remember then that we are all human. And as human beings, we have flaws and imperfections. It's completely natural. We are not meant to be perfect. Not everyone will be as smart as Stephen Hawking. Not everyone will be as rich as Bill Gates. Not everyone will be as bootylicious as Beyonce. And this is completely okay. It can be an incredibly helpful strategy and skill to cultivate a sense of being enough just as you are. Now, as human beings, we may indeed strive to develop certain aspects of our character or personality. We may strive to become more tolerant, or we may strive to become more physically fit, and this may be in line with our own personal values. While doing this, it is important to be mindful of how much comparing you are doing. How much are you comparing your story to those of others? And also how much attention you are giving that inner critic that's not always very supportive or helpful. In Raw Mind Coach, we consider self-compassion and mindfulness as two core resilience building skills. In the program, we have collected the latest scientific data on psychological resilience and merged it with the oldest Eastern teachings on mindfulness. Our aim is to teach you a number of life's most important lessons. As well as teaching you about mindfulness, we want to teach you that it's perfectly fine and normal to be imperfect and human. We want you to know that your thoughts are just thoughts. They aren't necessarily important, wise, or true. We want to help you pay attention to the thoughts that are useful, that help you take action on the things that matter most to you in life. We want you to realize that emotions are not scary zombies. You don't have to fight them or run away from them. They can actually be quite helpful. We also want you to know that being resilient is far different from being tough. The strategies you may have learned in the past to deal with stressful situations may not always be the most helpful. In Raw Mind Coach, you will find a number of simple and practical strategies to help boost your psychological resilience. We hope that you enjoy the program and thank you so much for listening.